happy Saturday. As promised, this will be the new craft area tour. I'm going to call it episode 2 of the Junk Journaling 101 series. And so the reason I decided to add it in this series is maybe you're just starting out and you don't really have room to junk journal, because let's admit it, of probably all the crafts or all of the hobbies you could get into, this one takes up probably the most space. Sadly, why did I have to pick this one? Anyway, I don't have a dedicated craft room. I use the back part of our dining area. And so I'm going to show you how just in the past week and a half, I've been able to move everything from where I was working, which was here and over here on the island, to behind me, which you'll see in a minute, and have a dedicated craft area. Okay, so we'll start first with this. This is a hutch that I used to just store decorative things on, and there's a little bit of it still at the top. This is just, you know, my plants and my serving bowls that I use when we have company and go to picnics and such. I left that up there just for some visual prettiness. But then starting here, which used to also have decorative, this is now all junk journaling supplies. Inside here are all of my fabric ruffles. This is just an old sewing box. In here we have some recipe card dividers and some blank index cards. I saved these little strawberry containers for organizing, and they're just cute. And here are index cards and index card dividers. Again, I got this beautiful oak box at a estate sale. This is just for looks. I will never use this for junk journaling. I got this at a used book sale right after my husband and I got married. And I used it when my daughter was growing up, when she was learning how to cook. But it's just pretty, so I display it. And then in this is all of my vintage sheet strips and fat quarters. And then I'm not going to open this, but in here, oh, you know what? I don't even remember what's in here. I'm going to have to open it. I'm sorry to be shaky. Let's see what's inside. Oh, stamps. Postage stamps inside this very old Nabisco collector's tin that I got at an estate sale last summer. Here is another beautiful book that I'm going to turn into a personal junk journal, but I just think it deserves to be on display. This is just for display also. This is a beautiful book that I received in Happy Mail from Mary. Thank you, Mary. I love it. I'm trying to figure out the best way to use it and salvage what's left of this gorgeous book jacket. But for now, it's sitting here on top of this sewing basket. And in here, these are all my tiny fabric scraps. So I use these for clusters and tabs, stuff like that. And then in this basket is my embossing machine and my embossing folders. And then a couple more books. I use this one for practicing my handwriting. And this one is a collector's edition reproduction White House cookbook that my grandma gave me, I think, on my first wedding anniversary. Again, this will never be used for junk journaling, and probably not for even cooking, because the recipes are, you know, very non-exact. Things like cook in a quick oven. What does that mean? So, but I love it. It's gorgeous, and it's sentimental to me. This is a box of all of my small pieces of vintage ephemera. So I have everything in here. I have not organized all my ephemera very well. I know that's gonna have to happen one day, but for now, this is one of my 2 places where I store my vintage greeting cards. And then on this lower, the hutch kind of comes out more, you know how hutches do. So this is where I have cards. This is chipboard, piano paper, very, very old magazines and newspapers, Bible pages, Braille paper, large doilies. Here's all of my colored cardstock. These are empty binders that I hope to turn into ephemera binders at some point. these are all of my printer papers and white cardstock, photo paper, vellum, parchment, things like that. I just have them in these little magazine files. And then down here I have the printer. The printer was one level up, but I decided I wanted it a little more out of the way and out of view, so I put it on this bottom shelf. And then in the middle here is my basket of binding thread, needles, and awl, things like that. And then here are my paper pads, and here is a box of loose 12 by 12 paper. And then my scan and cut mats. I don't really have a good place for these, so they're just staying here right now. And then a roll of masking paper. And then over here I have my cutting boards and my mouse pad that I use for book binding. And then down here I have, these baskets came from Michael's. This is where I store all of my sewing patterns. And then in this one I have, well, here's another vintage photo album that I'm going to turn into something. And then these super cool dot matrix index cards and sheet protectors. But underneath I have die cuts. I think these are chipboard shapes. And then in here we have slides. So yeah, more organized than I was, but not as organized as I hope to be. And then in this box, these are all of my vintage greeting cards, coin envelopes. Those are CD sleeves. This is more vintage stationery. And then this orange box turned sideways is only envelopes. And then right here, sort of jammed in between these two, are books that I can use for sourcing as well as glue books, like, you know, used to bear down when I use a glue stick. And then unfortunately I did have to put some things on the floor, but for now that's just what it's gonna have to be. This is another 12 by 12 box, and this has my large paper ephemera in it. And then on top of here I have placemats, vintage wrapping paper. And then in this basket I have refills for my ink. And then, oh, that's just a paper. That is my regular printer paper that I use for digitals. Okay, I don't want to make y'all dizzy, so I'll slow down a little bit. This is a little sitting area. This was my husband's request and idea. Just a little place where he or one of our kids can come sit down and talk to me and hang out while I'm crafting, so they won't feel like they have to be in another room or a nice well-lit place to read or whatever. And then this little table right here has this is where I store some of the journals that I've already made, personal journals, so I can use those as inspiration and ideas as well. And then turning around, here's the new crafting space. This is our fireplace, and then we have a couple of built-ins right here, so you can get a good idea of what it looks like overall. But this is the desk that I was able to find used last week through Craigslist or Marketplace or one of those. I'm super excited about it. The more I sit at it, and I've used it some already, the more I love it. And I will just start with the first drawer. The stuff in the drawers is working okay right now, but I will probably switch things up as I go along. So I have a basket of all of my glues right there. I still need a better way to store these. These are all my sewing pattern ladies. And then I have nesting baskets of punches. This is just a box with, when I cut out words or sayings that I can use in my collages or whatever, I put them in here. And then this is my box of ideas, and I'll debut this in a video soon. This is how I store my fussy cuts for right now. And I made these envelopes out of scrapbook paper that I didn't really like, and then labeled them. So I have those within reach now. And then down here are just all of the loose and large-ish book pages that I, cast off from projects that I ended up not using, or when I'm given book pages in Happy Mail, I just toss them in that box. Okay, that's drawer number 1. These are still kind of squeaky. My husband and son did some work on them. There were a lot of nails popping out, but they might need some soap or something rubbed on them. I think someone gave me that idea. Back here are all of my metal things. So we have brads, eyelets, more brads, crocodile, paper clips, book corners, and rings. So that's the metal stuff. Oh, and bulb pins. And then here, I was able to fit my punch board and scoring upright thanks to the use of this library book end. And so I use this as sort of these drawers don't hold file folder, these little things right here. So I just turned the folder sideways and held it up with this. And these are all of the journal's themes that I either have already made but plan to make more, or themes that I am sourcing for the future. Some of this stuff is not, this is some of the stuff from my husband's work that he brought me. So I'm not making a DMV themed junk journal. So we have boats, nautical, rain, outer space, baby, sunflower, stuff like that. I have found that when I'm sourcing for a journal, it's easy. Why not just go ahead and source for several at once? It saves you time in the long run, and now I have a much more organized place to put them. Okay. Under here is the little storage thing that I was telling you about. Still undecided what I'm going to do with that, but for now it's tucked under here. And also my scoreboard, because it would not fit in any of the drawers. I tried all which ways. And then this down here is more, I guess I can show you. This is an old file box. And this is, I guess this is what I would call my file cabinet. It's just pattern paper, book page. I don't think there's anything in the book pages one because I moved it all. Scrapbook scraps that are too big for my scrap box. Maps, brochures, unused printables, stationery, filler paper, paint chips, die cuts, newspaper clippings, templates. So any templates that I have for, any sort of special envelope shape or something I put in there. Here are my stencils that are cut out of acetate, as well as my laminated specimen card, flowers and people. And then paper dolls, a little bit of sheet music, most of it's in another spot, and wallpaper pieces. That's what I store in there. Okay, this drawer, let me move this cart. I decided to go ahead and use these drawers on the right for my ribbons and lace. So the top drawer has pom-pom trim, ribbon, rickrack, elastic cord, stuff like that. And I did not expect it to fill the whole drawer, but it did. It's crazy. I need to open this before I go to Hobby Lobby to remind myself how much I already have. And here's all of my lace. Now this will be fun to dig through because I have them all secured with pins. So I usually get stuck a lot when I just kind of rifle through. If y'all have any other tips on how to do this without pins, let me know. Here is my little IKEA cart. This can be moved all around depending on where I need it when I'm working. It was so full before I redid this space that I couldn't even find stuff in it. I was just piling stuff on, but now everything has a spot. We have washi, we have drywall tape, scissors, a pen cup. These are rubber bands, mailing tape. Here's all my glue dots and double-sided tape, regular tape, pens and pencils and highlighters, some artistic mediums, texture paste, gesso. Here's my labelers, yarn for tying Etsy sales packages. And then here's all my little fun things like, you know what I'm talking about, liquid pearls, stickles, glossy accents, flocking, stuff like that. Oh, back there in the back is my eyeglass cleaner and my cleaning cloth for my reading glasses. Here are my beads and more beads under here with findings and charms. Here is wax melts and the wax melt spoon and the wax melt, you know, stampers, pearls, and then this is empty for now. That I'll fill later once I figure out what to put. Here on the mantle are just, I probably always store these yearbooks here just because they're so heavy. I don't want to overload my bookshelves with them. And this is the rest of the Little Women journal that I plan to finish for my own personal use. This is one of the built-ins. When we first moved here, this was where we stored all of our homeschool books, but now the kids keep their books in their own rooms, and honestly, a lot of their courses are online or digital now. So I was able to turn this into all junk journal storage. These down here are all of the books that I use for sourcing. So these are where all of my book pages come from. I have paperbacks here, coloring books, paper dolls, and then all the hardbacks and larger books are in the back and the top shelf. And then these two drawers, these are real, honestly still used for school stuff, but I have whiteboard markers and regular markers and color pencils. And then in this side I have, you know, office stuff. And then on top here, I learned how to make one of these organizers from Kim Newberg. Go check out her channel. The inside here are just boxes from oatmeal, Pop-Tarts, stuff like that, and I've just organized a lot of my ephemera that I pop into a journal when I'm done with one. In here, I probably have it stacked a little higher than I should, but I got these cute little felt flannel board felts from Carol at Crinkle Path, and we have some money and tags and Dollar Tree bags and stuff like that. And then in this box I have handwritten recipes that I found in an estate sale. And then there are some more cards in here. I'm not going to open it because my lamp is sitting on it, but other cards that I couldn't fit in this basket. And then up here we have some more of those magazine files, and this is my project in the next month. I need to go through all these because I have started just getting clutter in them, and there's a lot of magazines that I've bought that I will probably never use, or maybe will only use for glue books. So I'm going to go through and cut out the images that I want to use for a glue book and throw the rest away. And this is where I also keep my coffee dyed paper once I'm done with that. And then I wanted to reserve the top two shelves strictly for books that I plan to make into journals. So these all have covers and or inside pages that I want to incorporate in a journal. So I think with just this, I will have enough to make journals for the rest of my life. I mean, sometimes you have to put it all in front of you to realize how much you have. Like, yeah, even if I did one a month, that's several years worth of journals right here. So I wanted to get those apart from my other books. I do source out of these, especially the larger books, but these are all up here because I want the covers to actually become a journal cover. A hop, skip, and a jump over from where we just were. I put this other little cute cart that I got at a yard sale. I spray painted it aqua. And this is sort of a half-filled cart, and I'm not really sure yet what I'm going to fill it with, but for right now it's just holding miscellaneous things like thread cards and milk caps and journaling cards and tags, and there's a parakeet feather my daughter wants me to laminate for her. And here's some more flashcards that I couldn't fit where I keep all my other cards, buttons. Here is my mixed media stuff, my inks. I make my own alcohol inks, but I'm not super excited about them. So one of my things that I'd love to buy is some Tim Holtz Distress Sprays. And then I have some stencils back there and a gel plate and a, why can't I think of the name of that word? Brayer, that's it. And then watercolors and watercolor paper. And then some stickers, Tim Holtz die cuts, things like that. Okay, in here, this is our hall linen closet. So I have, don't look at the mess, but that's all of our sheets. I need to go through them and fold them better. That was just to get them out of the way. But this is where I used to store most of my junk journaling stuff. And now I have a lot of extra room opened up. So I'm super excited about this. Room to grow. I still have a label that my grandma put on that shelf when she used to store her sheets on these shelves. It will be there forever. And then on this shelf, I have my long, low tote of the Chindi rug that I deconstructed. And there's a box of yarn back there, and then a couple of vintage games. And here we have, in this tote, we have small to medium fabric pieces, batting, interfacing, and stuff like that. And then up there in these, save these little bags when you buy new sheets or comforters, guys, these little zipper bags. That's where I store my vintage sheets for junk journal covers. And then this hole, I think there was some pillow shams in this bag. This is where I store all of my handkerchiefs, pillowcases, tablecloths, and there's actually a shirt in there as well. And then behind that, in that very bottom one, that's where I have all of my large doilies, napkins, a few tablecloths and stuff, aprons, kitchen towels, stuff like that. And then this tote right here is all fabric. I'm not going to pull it out. I also have another large tote, a little bit bigger than this, with all fabric. That is the one thing that I could not find a home for. So that will be a floating tote, unfortunately. That's just going to have to be the way it is. But I wanted to try to pull all the stuff that I use every day for junk journaling close by, and the fabric and stuff more in this area, because I don't reach for it every day. I usually just reach for it at the start of a project. And then hanging on this door here is one of those vintage expandable hat racks, and I'm just using it to hold scarves that I will use as ties or whatever. So there's all my scarves. Okay, this was the shelf that my mom gave me a couple weeks ago. Isn't it so cute? It's just perfect for the space. Let me back up a little bit. Okay, so this is, all of these little photo boxes were usually in the hallway closet. And when I needed one, I had to pull out all of them to get to the ones in the back. So this will be so much better. This has sewing ephemera, doilies, packaging. So that's anything comes in that I think would be cool in a junk journal. So if I ever make a junky junk journal, I'm set. More sewing notions, pre-made pockets and belly bands. These are just patterned strips of fabric already cut. A little bag of scraps. Some of these were my great granddaddy's cigar boxes. Let's see what this one is. Oh, this one's empty. To be filled. And here we have all those little recipe books, pamphlets, you know, the promotional ones. We have some map puzzle pieces in here. I got it at an estate sale. There's napkins in here, paper scraps, and collage scraps. And then in here I have green stamps. Here, this is all of the stuff that I put in my own personal journals. And then down here, stamp pads. And here, rubber stamps. And here, embossing powders and acrylic stamps. And then here, alphabet stamps and heat gun. And then these two boxes on top, here's another empty one. This one needs repair. And these are more vintage sewing notions and things. This cord does have to stretch across the floor, so my son is currently looking for the best solution. I know you can get those interlinking snake type things that cover. That's probably what we'll end up having to do, just because my desk is in the middle of the floor. And then right here, this is vintage wrapping paper and wallpaper that I am going to or have already glued onto file folder for use on tags and cards. On this cute little cart, I have rhinestones. I think these are the little resin flowers and fruits that I use in my shaker cards. We have cabochons. And these we have seed beads in that one. And I think, yes, just feathers and pearls in that one. Oh my, some motorcycles just went down the road. And then here's my basket of glitter and 4 more large glitters. And here is where I store my vintage wooden empty thimble, not thimbles, spools. And here, I don't remember. Oh, these are the seed beads. So this is sequins then. Seed beads and sequins. And I don't know if I'm gonna label these or not. I'll probably eventually remember. This is where I will put all the things that I need to add and list in my shop. These are crepe paper rolls for ruffles. Here are all of my work basket magazines. And these are things that are already currently in my shop for sale. And then for right now, I just have this scan and cut right here for looking for a day that I can get it out and play with it. This is the one my mom just gave me. And then down here we have, in the red crate is all of my shipping supplies, and also in this one. And then paper dolls and eyelash trim. I just didn't know where else to put these, so I just tossed them in there. And then up here on this desk, this is where I used to sew, and I will still sew here because I can just easily roll my chair over. But I also like that I can bring my sewing machine to the desk. But this is just my little sewing desk. There's my scale for weighing my Etsy packages. I think that's all, guys. I think I showed you everything. Oh, the desktop. Okay, so in this basket, I got this basket for 25 cents at a yard sale. This is just things that I need to find a place for. That's what it is right now. Well, not this. These are my gloves, but these are things that I need to, hey Meg, put these away kind of thing. This is empty right now, but I will eventually use this to store finished ephemera. This is my little trash bin that I keep on my desk for when I'm working. I just toss stuff in here. I'd rather do that than have a trash can at my feet. This is my Pampered Chef tool turnabout that I use just for journaling supplies. These are all my scissors. And these are the vinyl tablecloths and placemats that you saw in my video. This is a another basket just holding loose things. These are all my works in progress. So these are the things that I'm currently using in my projects right now. And then I put my sari silk that I recently bought in an apothecary jar. I thought it looked really cool. So yeah, that is my crafting space. I'll do, I just realized I didn't do the up high view. So this is the top of the shelf, and I have a lamp, adorable lamp that I just bought yesterday at a local antique shop. I have two favorite booths in that shop, and that was one of them. And then I have journals here that I have bought or won. And then this was the original screen door on this house, my grandparents' house. And it's been hanging on that wall forever, but now it's a backdrop for my little shelf. And then this is a printer's drawer that my husband and I found at a yard sale that I finally was able to use. So I'm putting my sewing thread spools on there. I have more, but some of the spaces are just not quite tall enough, so I can fill it with lots of other fun things eventually. But I hope you enjoyed this little tour. I hope it inspired you to use what you have, to use the space that you have and make it work for you. I like that I can still be a part of what my family is doing and not feel like I'm sort of like off by myself somewhere. But my mess is no longer infringing on their space. Like, we can eat at the bar again. Like, we haven't eaten at our bar in months. So we're very excited about that, and I'm excited about having a dedicated space. Even though when we have guests over, they're gonna walk in and be like, why do you have a giant desk in your dining room? I think it's, you know, it's your house. Do what works for you. If this works for you, then great, you know. If you don't have a craft room, make do with what you do have. So I hope this inspires you to get started in trying to sort of find a place for your own to craft. Even if you only had just a little desk in the corner, there are so many things that you can do. Think vertically, think going up. Yeah, there's so many different things that you can do with just a little bit of space and a little bit of money. I only spent $70 to make all of this come together, guys. So definitely keep at it until you make a little place for yourself. I love looking at other people's craft tours. If you guys would like to post one, or if you have in the past, feel free to let me know in a comment and I'll go check it out, because we can always learn from each other and more creative ideas on organizing and displaying our things. Thanks for watching today, and I hope you have a great weekend.